Hi, my name is Erica Ramirez, and I chose feeding the homeless as my topic today. This topic dawned on me a couple of weeks ago when I was on my way home from work. I noticed that my gas tank was only quarter filled, so then I stopped at the gas station, just like anybody else would, and I grabbed some gas. The only difference between this time and all the other times before was that I noticed this homeless guy. So I grabbed my gas and then I went home. A few hours later, I wanted some chips and dip, so I went back to the same gas station. I saw the same exact homeless guy sitting right there. So I decided to do something about it. I decided to do something about it because it made me feel good. I felt at that time that it created a better neighborhood. And I thought to myself that this is a good example for generations to come. This is why I'm doing this. Feeling good about helping others. You see, when we help people, we feel good about ourselves. It's a rewarding experience when you give or help someone that has little to nothing. It also increases your self-appreciation, like things that you have, your job, your pay. Even though sometimes we may not be satisfied with what we have, when we help those who has so much less than we do, we appreciate what we have a lot more. It creates a better neighborhood because 25% of the world's incarcerated rate is within the United States, of which 5% of that are homeless people trying to avoid the streets. It's a good example for generations to come because the funding spent on incarcerated homeless individuals could be spent on the community programs like schools or other community outreach programs. It can also serve as a platform to teach our younger generations to treat all humans equally, regardless of their social or economical status. How can we help? How can I help? How can you help? We could feed them, we could give them clothes, or we can even just simply acknowledge their existence. It's really not that hard. Feeding the homeless. We could do a community outreach on a Saturday morning soup outreach where a lot of volunteers get together, cook something up, maybe a can of beans and add water and some meat in there. Feed the homeless with that. It doesn't cost a lot. It just costs your time. Canned food donations. Everywhere, at some point in time, you have at least at one point in your life ran into a food drive, a canned food drive. That helps. Donate to the homeless shelters. Many people are driven to create a crime in exchange for food and shelter. When we give them food, the crime could possibly decrease because they would have a food source. That's one less thing that they would have to worry about. Clothing the homeless. Donating your old clothes to churches or other nonprofit organizations. Clothes that you would donate to Plato's Closet or other companies for $5, donate them to churches or homeless shelters instead. In today's economy, you would probably spend $5 trying to get to Plato's Closet rather than just donating it to your own church. Acknowledge the homeless. When you're getting gas, say hello or have a nice day to them. It gives them a little bit of self-value, a little bit of self-appreciation, because they know that someone else sees them. Someone else acknowledge their existence. When you're stopped at a red light on a hot day, give them a bottle of water, because they know that someone out there cares about them. That they shouldn't give up on themselves, that they shouldn't, do other crimes, like rob people or rob stores or hurt people because somebody cares. When you buy food, give them some chips or a snack. You don't have to go to Sam's Club and buy a whole box of food that you won't really necessarily eat at that time. But you can just go, when you get gas, grab something for them when you see them. They'll appreciate that. They really would. Like I said, you don't have to go out of your way to help, because even though there's only one homeless person for every 190 people, it's not scarce for you to run into them. You'll see them. The we. Many of us have food and shelter. And more than likely, if you're watching this, you have a brighter future than any of those homeless people. We buy excessive amount of food, more than what we consume in a day. We drive to a location that's only about a mile away instead of walking. That's a luxury. We sleep in our houses whenever we want. In the middle of the day, at the end of the day, or if we just want to sleep in at the beginning of the day. We buy clothes just because we want to look better. Again, a luxury that we have that not very many people don't. The us. Me, you, and the homeless people. We're all people. But for some reason, even though we are all people, we cannot be treated such as people all the time. We treat dogs better than we treat homeless people. We offer more to other animals than those of our own kind. If a homeless person was sitting on the side of the road, you probably wouldn't acknowledge them. Nothing. But if your friend was sitting on the side of the road, I bet you otherwise. If we accidentally threw something in the trash, to be honest, we would probably debate if we should dig it out or not. Homeless people, they go and search in the trash to check to see if there are any chicken bones that aren't completely cleaned out, so they could have them for dinner or lunch, or so that they could have food for that day or that night. That's reality. Then there's them. How do we know if they're homeless? Well, they smell. That's just being honest. Their clothing, torn, dirty, again, smelly, and they're begging. They usually would have a sign that would say, "Please feed me. Please help me." And if you're lucky, it'll say, "We'll wash your windshield for food," or for $1. So let's do something. Let's do anything to help them, because they need it. Walk in their shoes. Put yourselves in their shoes. If you were the homeless one, what would you do? How would you ask for help when no one listens? How will you act without driving anyone away? What will you be willing to do to have just a change of clothes or a bath? Help those in need. Donate to homeless shelters. Donate to churches. Volunteer at homeless food drives in your community. Because if we were in each other's shoes, if you were the one in need, you would Google it first. Please, search for those closest homeless shelters in your area and give them a couple of your time, a couple hours of your time. Because for every minute that you help out a homeless person is a minute more cherished than an argument with a teenager. Thank you.